Will launching a no-code app really help you achieve a more scalable business or business model? That's what we're going to talk about today because there are a ton of non-technical entrepreneurs coming to the no-code app space so they can achieve more scale with their businesses, with their incomes, even with their lifestyles. And so we're going to talk about whether you can achieve that with an app-based business and with no-code apps as well. Now, make sure you stick around until the end because we're going to cover 3 different ways that entrepreneurs are achieving more scale with their apps and their app-based businesses. And I want you to hear this all so you can see how this might apply to your situation as well. Now, first, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen, and I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps, where we help non-tech entrepreneurs build custom app-based businesses so they can either launch their brand new businesses or even launch apps that will help them scale their existing businesses. And we help them do this all without coding. So will a no-code app help you achieve more scale? What we're going to do is jump over to the whiteboard here and go through this. So you can see on my screen here, we have current on the left and future on the right. So current is what a lot of entrepreneurs are doing now. And future over here is why they are coming to the no-code app space in general. So what a lot of people are doing for work and for income, and you yourself might be doing this too, is number one, hourly work. So like freelancing, consulting, small service-based businesses, that type of thing. So hourly work, and if you're doing this, then you already know this, it's not scalable because there are only a certain number of hours in the day. And so if you want to scale, the only thing you can do really is charge more, but at a certain point, it's like just raising your prices. It's just not very efficient in terms of overall growth with your business, with your income, and again, just with your lifestyle. Because if you want to scale, it means putting in more hours, and that's not very enjoyable. So you might be experiencing this as well, but it is essentially right time for money. That's the model, if you want to call it that. Okay, now another thing that a lot of people are doing before they come into the no-code app development space is they are basically, they're trying to scale by adding team. So let's say they have an existing business. And again, this might be you as well. So if you have an existing business and maybe you are at the point where you can no longer just keep adding in more hours or raising your prices, well, the next option can often seem like you just have to add more team. So you have to start hiring people so you can essentially just add more of yourself and scale that way. And that's pretty normal. Obviously, you see most businesses doing this, bringing on employees to help with growth. But a lot of people who I've found, at least, who are coming into the no-code space, they don't necessarily want to be growing really large teams and managing really large teams. A lot of them are looking to get away from that because when you get to the point where you're just growing your team, your own day-to-day jobs and responsibilities, those start to change. And so a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy that. And so they're looking for something that's more scalable than just adding more team members. Because even if you do enjoy just growing your team, it's not the most scalable way to grow a business. You obviously, when you grow your team, your expenses grow, and this is all normal. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that a lot of people don't really want that. And so we see a lot of people who are in this situation, either they're faced with the question of, do I want to grow badly enough to grow a team, or they're already growing a team and they're thinking, I really want to scale back on that, but I really want to scale up in another way. Okay, so that's a second way. And then the third sort of model or structure, and I guess I should say role that we see people in when they're first coming into the no-code app space is they actually have a job where they are employed. So maybe they're not freelancers or consultants, maybe they don't have their own business, but they have careers with a cap. Okay, so if this is you, if you are employed right now and you want to be able to make more money, or maybe be able to make more money faster, or maybe control your schedule, or just control the thing that pays you, right? If that's you, well, when you're working for someone else, you do have a cap to some extent. Obviously, you can kind of make your way up the ranks and you can rise in position and all of that. And that's great. That's obviously very normal too. But again, a lot of people who we see coming into this space, they have extensive careers in an industry and they've reached a point where they just feel like, I'm at this point, I'm not going to grow that much more, or at least as much as I want to be able to in my career. And so I want to find something that allows me to achieve more scale personally too. Okay. And so these are three really big categories of people who are coming into the no-code app development space. And you might be able to put yourself into one of those. Now, the question is an app-based business model, or is an application, building a no-code app, is that actually going to help you achieve more scale than you currently are? Is it the best model to look at? Because there are lots of business models, right? You can scale service-based businesses in different ways. You can have information businesses that can be pretty scalable. You can have lots of different models and structures. So what is it about the app-based business that makes it scalable? And is it right for you? Well, let's look over on the right side here at the future. So future being if you have an app-based business. What we see a lot of people doing when they're going from this category here. So if you are the type of person who's currently a consultant, or you have a small services business, you're a freelancer, we see them very frequently packaging up their knowledge and their expertise, their IP, right? Their intellectual property, their experience, and they're really turning that into an app instead that serves their same target market, right? So it's really what we're going to put over here is just their packaging, and I'm just going to call it straight out their IP, right? That's essentially what they're doing. So the people, the freelancers, the consultants who are just kind of burnt out at this point, but they still want to grow, they're taking all of that experience that they have and turning it into an app that solves a problem in their market. So a lot of times this is like, okay, say you are a consultant and you help businesses solve a whole host of different problems, right, that they deal with. Well, you wouldn't take all of that and package it up into an app. I mean, you could, but usually and realistically, you pick one specific problem or one specific process that you can streamline for these existing clients that you have, or for the types of businesses you work with, and you create an app to solve that. So it's really like you are niching down into just one specific problem. It narrows your segment and it allows you to build an app for a specific process that you've just had so much hands-on work with that you know exactly how it should be solved, right? And then instead of selling your time, you sell your app. And your app, well, there's no time cap on that. Your app can serve as many people as you want. It doesn't matter that there are 24 hours in the day. And a lot of people are doing a combination of this too. And that's important to understand as well. It's not like you have to just, completely transition over. A lot of people, they still continue doing their service-based business or their consulting, but they add on an app. And so that can help them expand their services. And so, maybe they do service-based work on a part-time basis, and that still allows them to, stay in touch with clients and expand their client base and that type of thing. And it kind of gives them an easy in with their app as well. Sometimes they couple it with their existing services. Sometimes they just sell it separately. And it's so much more scalable, right? And it's the reason why I like this, and why a lot of other people do too, is because you don't have to come up with some new revolutionary app idea in order to scale your business and just have more flexibility and control over your lifestyle. You can take what you already have and put it into an app, and you already have the context, you already have the base already there, because building the business, that's when like the grunt work happens. Scaling it, once you've done that grunt work, scaling it on top of that's what you want to get to. And if you are this type of person who's, freelancer, service-based business, well, you've done the work, you've laid the groundwork. So now you can build the app and actually do the scaling that you want to do. So that's one way that you can scale, and it is significantly more scalable. And you could probably relate to that if you fall into that category. Now, the second category, the type of person who is adding team to scale, or maybe you don't want to move into that. You don't want to add team, but you want to scale. So you have the foundation of your business there, and now you want to grow. Well, you can still keep your business in the way it is, and you can simply automate. So what we see happening a lot is small businesses who don't necessarily want to scale by just adding more and more employees. They have some root problems and some things that kind of contribute to wanting to avoid doing that. One of them is just their existing expenses. So a lot of businesses, their expenses are already too high. Their profit margins are too low, or maybe their profit margins, maybe they're not profitable at all. And so they don't want to add more team because they can't really. And so they have to figure out a way that they can be more scalable. And so that's one of the root problems, is just their expenses are already too high. How do you scale when that's the case? Well, you can automate a lot of your processes. And this is what we see a lot of people doing. So small businesses come into the no code space and they recreate their system. So in a couple of ways. One, they take their manual processes and they automate them with apps. And that means that now they don't have to spend time doing those manual processes, which sometimes means they need fewer employees, okay? Or they don't need to hire that extra employee that they thought they would. So they're automating their processes, reducing their need for staff. We also see them replacing processes that exist with, or I should say that existing software helps them with. So if you're a small business, you use a ton of software. You use a lot of different apps to help run your business, and those all cost money, and usually a lot of money. It adds up. It's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per year, depending on the size of your business. And so what a lot of these businesses do to cut back on their expenses and enable them to better scale is they just rebuild a lot of those processes that are handled by that software that they're paying for. So they can build out their own apps for a lot less money, and they can stop using these apps that they're currently paying, all the thousands of dollars for. So they are automating, and I'll put here, they are rebuilding. So they're reducing their expenses, they're streamlining their processes, they are reducing the need for extra staffing, and this enables them to better scale. So this is not necessarily building an app to, launch to users, external users. This is building an app to help your existing business better scale when currently you're not, either you're not scaling in the way that you really want to, that you really enjoy, or you're just not able to scale because of your inefficient processes, the expenses, all of these things. Okay, so this is another way that adding an app or building an app can help you scale significantly more. And then we have this one down here. So if you are currently employed and you feel like you have a cap, so personally you feel like you can't really scale, well, this is one we see a lot, definitely a lot. We see both of the others, but this is very, very prevalent. And so there's a good chance that you might fall into this as well. So how do you achieve scale with your income and your lifestyle? There are a couple of ways, and it might seem obvious. The most obvious is, well, you launch an app and then you turn that into a business. But there are actually a couple of ways you can achieve more scale. So we'll do two over here. Now, one is you create an app that helps your employer scale. So I'm going to say employer scale here. And this is something that we see happening a lot more now, especially now that the no-code space is just growing, more people know about it, and these are called citizen developers. It's a term you might have heard before, but essentially employees who are not software developers, they're not engineers, but they are regular employees within a company. They develop skills around building no-code apps. And so they help create new processes in the companies that they work for. So they build apps to automate processes, to streamline processes. So kind of to do what we just talked about here, but within the company that employs them. Now, this can help you scale as an employee because you become a lot more valuable when you do that. And the more valuable you are, obviously, the more you can grow in your career. And so this is it's an incredibly valuable skill that you can develop to help yourself grow. Now, on the flip side, you can also, of course, launch your business. So see, my pen is not working here. Well, we'll skip the writing, but you can launch your new business. So when you look at the people who fall into the hourly work category, a lot of them are taking their expertise, their IP, and they're packaging that up into an app. And it can be the same with this last category, right? Where you are dealing with processes in your job probably every single day. You know the frustrations, you know the problems, you know the consequences of the problems, you know how they impact companies in your industry. And so you can take all of that knowledge, all of those skills and expertise, and package that up into an app in the exact same way. And the really cool thing is, if you're working in an industry, you likely have contacts in that industry, I would assume. All right, everyone who we work with who falls in this category does. And so they have really a foot already in the door. They have the knowledge, they just have to build the app, and then they have the contacts so they can get quick traction early on with their apps and with these new businesses. And so it's kind of like, I mentioned in the beginning, when you're building a business, the very initial pieces involve a lot of the grunt work. Well, if you fall into this last category, you can get a leg up on some of that simply because you are building something that solves a problem you know a lot about. Now, of course, you don't have to fall into these three categories. You don't have to scale in this way. You can be building an app for consumers, and maybe it has nothing to do with your career, and that's fine. And we see people having success doing that all the time. But if you are currently in one of these three categories, then you do have the opportunity to create a more scalable business for yourself, a more scalable lifestyle, more scalable income, a lot more flexibility, and really just a lot more control. And that's what I find a lot of people are looking for is the control factor. And so if this is something that you want, then you have that opportunity by stepping into the no-code space, building a no-code app, launching that within your business as a new business. Any of that, you can achieve a lot of scale. So I hope this was helpful for you. Now, if you are looking to do this and maybe you haven't started yet, or you're just getting started, you're in your earlier stages where you haven't launched your app yet, we have a free training where we guide you through a lot of these early steps that you need to go through, kind of by the hand, so that you can make sure you're laying the foundation for your app and your business correctly. So you don't have to backtrack later on. And so you can move into your growth stages a lot more quickly. So you can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/workshop to join in on that. It's completely free. So coachingnocodeapps.com/workshop. All right. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.